The evening sky over Los Angeles was painted in hues of gold and crimson as passengers began boarding Flight 1275, bound for New York City. The Boeing 737 was bustling with its usual mix of travelers, business professionals immersed in their laptops, families juggling carry-ons and children, and vacationers buzzing with anticipation for their next adventure. It was a familiar scene for Danielle Harper, a seasoned flight attendant who had spent over a decade navigating the skies. Danielle, a 32-year-old black woman from Atlanta, had built her life around her passion for travel and service. She had joined the airline industry not just to explore the world but to connect with people from all walks of life. Over the years, she had become known for her calm demeanor, sharp professionalism, and ability to diffuse even the tensest situations. But despite her love for the job, she was no stranger to the subtle and overt prejudices that often accompanied it. Born and raised in the South, Danielle had grown up acutely aware of systemic racism. Her parents, both civil rights activists, had instilled in her a sense of resilience and dignity. They had taught her that while the world might not always be fair, she had the power to stand tall and demand respect. As Danielle stood in the galley preparing for the flight, she couldn't have known that the challenges she had faced throughout her life would culminate in a single, harrowing event that would change everything. Flight 1275 was packed to capacity, and the divide between first-class luxury and economy's cramped quarters was as clear as ever. Plush leather seats and champagne service adorned the front cabin, while pretzels and limited legroom were the norm in the back. Danielle had long since grown accustomed to navigating these stark contrasts with grace, but tonight, those divides would become a battlefield. As the plane reached cruising altitude, Danielle began her rounds in the first-class cabin. Among the passengers was a middle-aged white woman, impeccably dressed in a designer outfit, her platinum blonde hair styled to perfection. From the moment Danielle approached her, the woman exuded an air of superiority that made the interaction feel like walking a tightrope. "Ma'am, would you like another drink?" Danielle asked, her voice polite and professional. The woman barely looked up. Her eyes flicked over Danielle's uniform, her expression hardening. "Where's the other girl?" she asked, her voice sharp. "The blonde one, I'd prefer her." Danielle's stomach tightened, but she maintained her composure. "I'm the flight attendant assigned to this section," she said evenly. "If there's anything you need, I'd be happy to assist you." The woman scoffed but didn't respond. Danielle moved on, determined not to let the encounter rattle her. She had dealt with entitled passengers before, and she knew how to handle them. But something about this woman's hostility felt different, more personal, more venomous. As Danielle made her way back through the first-class cabin later, the woman flagged her down. "Finally!" the woman snapped. "Do you know how long I've been waiting for you?" Danielle forced a smile. "I apologize for the wait, ma'am. How can I help you?" The woman's lips curled into a sneer. "You people," she said, her voice low but dripping with disdain, "shouldn't even be working here." Danielle's heart skipped a beat. The cabin seemed to go silent, the hum of the engines fading into the background. She had faced microaggressions before, but this was something else, blatant, ugly racism delivered without hesitation. "Ma'am," Danielle said, her voice steady despite the lump forming in her throat, "if there's an issue, I'd be happy to address it." The woman's hand shot out, grabbing Danielle's wrist with surprising force. Her nails dug into Danielle's skin as she leaned in closer. "You don't belong here," the woman hissed. Danielle tried to pull away, but the woman's grip tightened. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to release me," Danielle said firmly, her voice carrying through the cabin. What happened next left everyone in shock. The woman lunged forward and bit Danielle's arm. The cabin erupted. Gasps and screams filled the air as passengers leapt from their seats, their phones shooting up to capture the surreal moment. Danielle recoiled in pain, clutching her arm as blood began to seep through her sleeve. Two male passengers rushed to her aid, restraining the woman as she flailed and screamed. "It's you people!" the woman shrieked, her face twisted with rage. "You don't belong here." Danielle staggered back, her colleague Rosa rushing to her side. Rosa's hands trembled as she tried to apply pressure to the bite wound, her voice breaking as she asked, "Are you okay?" Danielle nodded weakly, though her mind was racing. She could barely process what had just happened. The flight crew quickly conferred with the captain, who made the decision to divert the plane to Chicago for an emergency landing. Passengers, stunned into silence, watched as the woman continued her tirade, shouting racial slurs and blaming Danielle for the incident. When Flight 1275 touched down at O'Hare International Airport, law enforcement officers were waiting at the gate. The woman, still screaming, was escorted off the plane in handcuffs. Her entitlement shattered, but her hate undiminished, she hurled one final insult as the officers dragged her away. Danielle, her arm bandaged by paramedics, was escorted off the plane for further medical attention. Despite her shaken state, she remained composed, offering a brief statement to the authorities. "I'm not the first person this has happened to," she said quietly. "And I won't be the last if we don't start addressing this." Within hours, videos of the incident flooded social media. Clips of the woman's tirade and the attack on Danielle went viral, sparking outrage across the country. Hashtags like "Untouched Justice for Danielle" and "Why Stop Racism in the Skies" began trending, with thousands of people sharing their own stories of discrimination. News outlets quickly picked up the story, and within a day, it dominated headlines. "Racist assault at 30,000 feet," and "Flight attendant attacked in shocking mid-air incident" were plastered across television screens and online articles. The airline released a statement condemning the woman's actions and promising a full review of their policies to ensure the safety and dignity of their staff. But for many, the incident was a painful reminder of the systemic racism that permeates even professional environments. In the weeks that followed, Danielle became an unexpected symbol of resilience and courage. Despite the trauma she had endured, she chose to speak out, not just for herself but for all those who face discrimination in their daily lives. "This wasn't just about one woman on one flight," Danielle said during a televised interview. "This is about a system that allows people to feel superior because of their race or class. It's about changing that system so no one else has to go through what I did." Her words resonated deeply, sparking calls for stricter airline policies to handle abusive passengers and better training for flight crews to address harassment. Advocacy groups rallied around Danielle's story, using it as a catalyst for broader conversations about racism and classism in industries like air travel. The woman who attacked Danielle faced charges of assault and hate crimes, her name becoming a symbol of entitlement and unchecked privilege. Meanwhile, the airline implemented new protocols to protect flight attendants, including stricter consequences for abusive behavior and enhanced training on de-escalation and bias awareness. Danielle's bravery inspired a wave of solidarity. Strangers from around the world sent messages of support, thanking her for standing strong in the face of hate. Her story became a rallying cry for those who had endured similar injustices, a reminder that no one should have to endure racism or violence simply for doing their job. Though the incident left its scars, Danielle refused to let it define her. She returned to the skies with a renewed sense of purpose, determined to continue her work with dignity and grace. As Flight 1275 faded into the annals of history, its story remained a powerful testament to the fight against prejudice. It was a reminder that while the road to equality is long and often painful, change is possible when people stand together and demand justice. And for Danielle Harper, the journey was far from over. She had faced the turbulence of hate and emerged stronger, ready to soar higher than ever before. Thank you for taking the time to witness this powerful story of resilience, courage, and standing against hatred. Danielle's experience serves as a reminder that while prejudice still exists, the strength to confront it lies in the bravery of individuals who refuse to be silenced. This is more than just a story about one flight. It's a call to action for all of us to challenge the biases and injustices we encounter, no matter how small they may seem. Change begins when we speak up, support one another, and demand accountability in every corner of society. If this story inspired you, please like, share and subscribe to our channel for more stories of strength, perseverance, and hope. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever faced a moment where you had to stand up for yourself or others? Your voice matters. Together, we can amplify stories like Danielle's and create a world where respect, kindness, and equality are the standard, not the exception. Thank you for being here today. Until next time, take care of yourself and those around you, and remember, the fight for justice begins with all of us. See you soon.